Introduction to creating a second empire in the Ring world. Crossing into the Ring world where mods have been played, Jin Xin was surprised to find that he was not surrounded like the indigenous people, but could use achievement points to unlock various mods and strengthen himself, thanks to the original expansion module in place. However, when Jin Xin looked at his character panel, he found himself handsome, quick learner, playful, and perfectionist. Go out mod. You are listening at novelfull.audio. All original extensions, all Warhammer 40,000 modules, map designer, full depth storage, hand-rubbed container, including refrigerator, advanced electricity, advanced thermal generators, advanced solar panels, advanced steam generators, vehicle expansion, aircraft expansion, alpha animals, alpha environment, alpha genes, alpha machinery, not related to the above two, only strengthening the mechanical family, enhanced genetic engineering. All mechanical era mod people can change, and as the story unfolds, characters acquire new characteristics. All Edge Factories mod. Additionally, some common sense modules do not include riding animals. It's really funny if you have to play mods to ride animals after crossing time. Battle expansion, shooting requires bullets, RPG-style inventory. It is impossible to wear 3 layers of clothing in the game, even if a module is added. Roads of the Rim scope of influence. If you really mix up as big as in the game, you have to come up with your mind. RJW, not available, seed release. In the real world, everyone needs seeds to grow crops, not just out of thin air, but the protagonist can, Z.level, Z.axis building, building multiple floors instead of only one. Chapter 1. Wild Jungle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You are a scavenger searching for scrap metal in the wilderness to sell to outsiders for a living. In this job, you see an incredible sight. A fully automated factory still in operation. Rationality tells you that you should dismantle some parts to continue your job, but sensibility tells you that you should let these machines continue to sing. Jin Xin woke up from the damp dirt, and a donkey was trying to lick his face. When Jin Xin opened his eyes, the donkey, started barking. As soon as Jin Xin looked up, he saw the 3 big characters Alyosha on the donkey's head. Isn't this the name of the donkey that was originally given as a gift in the newly opened single-speed Ring world save before he fainted? I'm really stupid, really. If I have electronic impotence, I should go play MC. If I insist on playing around the world, I'll be treated like a human skin sofa now, Jin Xin said to himself with blank eyes. Surround World, also known as Edge World, is a simulation business game. In this game, players can create their own world and command their colonizers to establish strongholds on unfamiliar planets from a divine perspective, and continue to develop and lead the world. However, the player community around the world highly overlaps with the P-Society war criminals in taste and behavior. In order to survive on a planet full of danger, or to pursue AliExpress, or simply satisfy their own evil interests, they often make some provocative actions that break through the human bottom line. What is a chess piece? In the world around us, due to being in the interstellar era, all humans have undergone highly genetic editing and have extremely strong survival abilities. At the same time, it also allows anyone to use any organ without worrying about rejection reactions. Therefore, often captured small people, also known as chess pieces, whose attributes are not very good will be completely removed by the doctors in the team as training tools and sent to the slaughterhouse. Human flesh can be used as feed, or as a vegetable if colonizers don't mind, while human skin is the same precious leather as rhinoceros skin, 4.2 silver, no nonsense, often made into high-value added products and exported overseas. And when you establish a colony, hostile forces around the world will go crazy and come to your home every day to catch the autumn breeze. Even if they kill every enemy completely, these bandits or cannibals will emerge one after another like leeks eating fertilizer. Not to mention the mechanical race that has developed self-awareness, the underground Zerg race that constantly burrows into your home, the inexplicable animal frenzy that occurs, the imperial aristocrats who use thick smoke to drown your home just for fun, and the spiritual screams that occur anytime, anywhere. In summary, it is not suitable for human survival. Jin Xin looked around, dense deep forests blocking the sky and sun. Shrubs grew in the lush grassland, and there were spreading spider webs in the forest. Spiders, one circle larger than cows, were resting in the spider webs. It turned out to be a wild jungle from the Alpha Environment module. Originally, Jin Xin was preparing to enjoy playing in the ring world and created a super colonizer with full attributes to recreate the imperial style in the ring world. However, now he does not feel any strong and domineering power, so the answer is only one. He replaced the colonizer with his own body to come to the ring world. Fortunately, the location where he landed was a carefully designed valley, surrounded by mountains on 3 sides, with only one side leading to the outside world. In the middle of the map, there was also a perfect central lake. As long as safety issues were solved, he could continuously fish without worrying about a shortage of meat. The initial supplies given by the scavenger at the beginning of the game are also quite practical. In addition to regular 300 pieces of wood and 450 pieces of steel, 20 parts, 6 advanced parts, a lever rifle and bullet with general properties, as well as an animal, usually a consigned animal, 15 very important medical kits, and 7 non-perishable packaged foods. These supplies are completely sufficient to establish a safe shelter that can provide shelter and beds. And Jin Xin noticed that his character panel was still there. Panel. Jin Xin silently recited, and a simple and unadorned panel appeared in front of him. Male, age 21, Homo sapiens, new immigrants childhood. Music kid adults. Graphic designers shooting. 2 fighting. 2 construction. 4 mining. 1 cooking. 6 planting. 3 taming beasts. 2 manual. 9 art. 14 medical. 3 social. 10 intelligence. 6 characteristics. Kind-hearted, quick learner, cleanliness fetish, timid, clumsy, fragile, lazy at work, night owl, asexual, arrogant, cave-dwelling, perfectionist, delicate, jealous, handsome, playful, and whimsical, unable to engage. None. Although I have become younger, I still possess the perfect attributes of a modern white-collar worker. Not only do I lack diligence in my limbs, but I am also proficient in fishing skills. Staying up late to cultivate immortality and being autistic in a small room are even more common in daily life. Damn it, 996, what have you taught me? Having only 2 points in melee and shooting abilities is not enough, but how can a senior social anxiety have 10 points in social skills? However, Jin Xin thought about his various Zuan and troll behaviors while surfing the internet, as well as his experience of successfully protecting his family on a 1.9 basis in various MOBA games, and he was relieved. The most important thing now is to quickly build a shelter. The wild jungle is a very lush terrain, and the fertile land brings dense vegetation. Everywhere, there are sea taros, super-sized guanine lotus, banana trees, and decaying fruit plants providing huge amounts of food. There are large numbers of rhinoceroses and elephants breeding and thriving here. Smaller organisms, on the other hand, are stone crabs with no meat at all, and explosive sheep or explosive mice that can ignite chemical fuel in their bodies when they die. They are completely unsuitable as sources of meat. Common animals such as alpacas, wild deer, wild boars, and cows in forest terrain cannot survive here because the strongest and most dangerous predator, the weaver, lives in the wild jungle. The weaver is a genetically edited giant spider. A researcher once had the idea of genetically engineering to create a giant spider that could spit out a super-woven fiber web. However, in the end, they created a giant predator that could spray venomous webs, and their venom was also quite deadly. If caught by the weaver in the jungle, it's basically a dead end. The wet and soft ground will slow down the character standing on it to only 42% of its original speed, making it impossible to dodge the flying spider web by walking. If caught, one can only watch the weaver crawl over and devour the victim one by one. Fortunately, although these super spiders have gained a super large body size and cool hunting abilities like Spider-Man, they have also lost the ability to crawl on walls. In the entire game, only some winged or floating creatures can ignore the obstacles of the terrain and walls to move, meaning that with just a wall, these terrifying hunters can be isolated from the outside. The most wonderful thing is that these spider fangs can only cause piercing damage, and the effect on the wall can be said to be extremely poor. In the game, weavers often have to consume all their energy to break through the most basic wooden wall, and then sleep in place due to hunger and fatigue. However, Jin Xin had no idea how to build walls. In the game, even if it was a level 0 building skill, only 5 materials were needed to build a wide, high, and impassable wall. However, Jin Xin was not a local resident and had no idea about it. He could only test it with the 200 wooden heads he had at hand when he woke up. The wood was cut into perfect cylinders and stacked together. Jin Xin picked up one and bumped it. Surprisingly, it was light. At this moment, a cold touch came, and Jin Xin lowered his head to see that it was actually a small dog made entirely of blue mint ice cream. Later, Jin Xin saw its name. Bubba through the panel. This is a shining world toy made up of micro-machinery in mint chocolate, Min Xiao Wang. It is omnivorous, completely wild, highly trainable, and very passionate about intimate characters. As long as you install the Min Xiao module, a Min Xiao animal will join your colony at the beginning. This little guy is obviously coming over now to post a post with the owner. Bubba, come on, knead, Jin Xin put down his work and first tried to knead Bubba's head. Getting cold, the texture is not like sticky ice cream, but rather very elastic and smooth. Bubba enthusiastically licked back, his breath filled with the coolness and sweetness of mint, and Jin Xion's confusion and nervousness were also relieved. Being intimate. A cute animal just pasted with me +4, dispelling time 12 hours, later, Jin Xion discovered that he could place blueprints. When he wanted to build a wall, a phantom that only Jin Xion could see fell on the ground. Then, Jin Xion transported 5 pieces of wood into the phantom, and a small construction site appeared. Jin Xion stood in front of the construction site, and within 5 minutes, he watched helplessly as the wood was processed into a wooden wall that was 3 meters high, 3 meters wide, and 1 meter thick. Zhaozhuiyuan.com completely disregards all physical principles and objective laws. Unlocking achievements. You cheat. Use developer mode. Achievement points +75, good guy, the achievement system of the original expansion module. Jin Xion was suddenly excited because this achievement point was a good thing. In the game, he could directly use it to exchange rewards, summon caravans, or generate cargo events to make the cargo hold in space fall near your home, and the real sky drops pies. Moreover, 150 points can be used to summon a black-clothed person, which is to directly call a hero-level chess piece to save you from fire and water. If you are injured, lose your mobility and lie on the ground waiting to die. Summoning a black-clothed person, achieving full-level first aid and equipped with Shining World Medicine, the strongest medical package. Can't you handle 50 people from the tribe? Summon the black-clothed man, who has a frenzy pulse spiritual ability to make a group of enemies kill each other, and then you just need to watch the play. However, Jin Xion tried to find the control panel for developer mode, but could only see a bunch of garbled code, not even the classic time acceleration for simulating business games. Is this also considered developer mode? This is just a normal operation for players. If you can't even place walls and blueprints, then this game is still playing with a yarn, Jin Xion muttered to himself. However, just 5 units of wood, which is 2 kilograms of wood, can directly expand into a wooden wall that is 3 meters high and 1 meter wide, which is still very impressive. Jin Xion quickly checked the achievement system and found that there were even bigger surprises within it. Load random module achievement points of 200. Unknown mood. Unknown description plus 50, dissolving time 5 minutes, unlocking achievement. Everyone is happy. Making the average mood of the colony reach 90%. Achievement point plus 25. Chapter 2. Distress. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There is a mature community around the world where many mod authors publish their own mods. Many mods are designed to make the game more interesting, make the villains in the colonies more unlucky, and write more outrageous or strange stories. Jin Xin thinks and does so, loading a lot of balanced beautification and expansion mods, as well as some strange biological mods. However, there are always some people who think that the game is a bit too difficult, so there will be many modules with incredible strength, which can be said to load other modules. However, for now, we still need to save our own lives. After all, not far from our home is the nest of the jungle weaver. Jin Xin quickly enclosed the sharp corners of this V-shaped valley with the 300 steel he gave at the beginning, making a small piece of forest land in front of the mountain a perfect courtyard. Then, as long as we dig space inside the mountain, we can build a self-contained cave colony. Of course, more importantly, this nearly 500 square meter courtyard also enclosed the abandoned factory. When the wall was built, the noisy chirping of birds and the roar of beasts from outside also quieted down. Finally, Jin Xin felt a little sense of security. Now, he can take a closer look at what exactly is in this abandoned factory, which can inspire scavengers to rely on it to establish colonies. The 2-story tall giant machinery stands silently without any emotional fluctuations, with perfect curves, sharp corners, and rough lines. It looks like a beast, and standing in front of it alone requires courage. There are a total of 4 such machines in the factory, and there are 6 machines in the factory. Perhaps due to the previous owner's hasty evacuation, they could only take 2 machines with them in time. Jin Xin opened the panel of the machines and found that these 4 machines were paired production lines. One of each production line was an automated large drilling rig responsible for digging stones from underground, while the other was a metal extraction machine composed of a series of hammers, magnets, and makers, extracting various useful metal materials from the stones. Both were electric tigers that required kilowatts of electricity to start, and the drilling rig even needed additional fuel. However, as long as these 2 machines were started, they could be said to have unlimited metal materials, and their preciousness in the world could be said to be unparalleled. However, one thing is that the level of danger of the global raid and event is determined by the wealth value of the base. These 4 machines directly raise the wealth value of the base to tens of thousands of silver, which also means that the intensity of the emergency is far beyond what Jin Xin can handle alone with a broken lever. Repairing the broken wall of the factory, Jin Xin sat in front of the campfire and opened a package of survival food. Inside the packaging bag are half a box of cheese and mashed potatoes, a large piece of unknown pork chops, a few green leafy vegetables that look very much like cabbage, and plastic bags filled with juice. The serving is very sufficient, completely enough for a person's daily consumption. Jin Xin quickly took action because currently he always feels that the world is not that simple. A wall is not necessarily safe, and at least he needs to have the ability to save his own life before a crisis arrives. So, Jin Xin began a grand enclosure operation based on his own courtyard, using existing walls to circle out more open spaces layer by layer. 2 days later, the circled territory had reached a distance of 200 meters from the base, and a group of ferocious weavers stopped Jin Xin's expansion. They greedily stared at Jin Xin, but did not seem to have the intention of leaving their own spider web nest. In addition to Jin Xin's own operations, this world looks more and more like the real world. When a tree is cut down, it will fall and hit the things below. When Jin Xin moves the fallen tree, it will turn into sliced wood according to its size. The soil path he has paved will become damp after half a day, and it seems that in a few days, it will return to the muddy swamp-like land. Jin Xin has already cleared a 3-grid-wide dirt road behind him, while keeping a close eye on the ferocious weaver. If this terrifying spider takes any action, it will immediately crawl and show off its snake skin, never going out again. Fortunately, in front of the three weavers, there was a half-bitten elephant corpse. Seeing that Jin Xin had not walked into the spider web ground he had woven, he reluctantly turned away and no longer looked at Jin Xin. What a terrifying thing! Why do spiders exist in this world? Jin Xin aimed his hands in the void at the deep forest in front of him, only to see a few axes flickering out of the void, clanging on the trunk. Building a wall requires clearing the vegetation around the wall, which is common knowledge around the world. However, Jin Xin's three-point planting skills are completely useless when used to deal with deep forests that are already difficult to clean. After all, even the world has marked the ability introduction of the three-point skills as half-understanding. In fact, Jin Xin originally did not want to build the outer walls of the base next to the nest of the ferocious weaver. He was not aware that it was very dangerous to approach the predator in this realistic action mode of the game. But Jin Xin really wants to rely on this awkwardness to create a perfect fan shape. This is a common problem among all players who play simulation management. At the beginning, they need to plan their land use well and leave room for future development. If they can achieve it in one step, they will never compromise. However, as the logging progress bar filled, the jungle trees fell, heading towards the weaver's territory. At the moment when Jin Xin fell from the jungle wood, he wanted to give himself a hard slap. Although he had already cut down so many trees on the cleaning site 2 days ago, why did he only pay attention to the weaver when approaching him, and not pay attention to his position when cutting down the trees? Thinking about this, Jin Xin turned around and rushed towards the gate of the shelter. As the deep forest swayed the spider web ground, 3 huge weavers were startled and reflexively charged towards Jin Xin. Violent weaver hunting for Jin Xin X3. The scream emitted by the collision and friction of the shell is like the death talisman of the god of death in the wild jungle. The huge body did not appear clumsy in the jungle. The strong and powerful pig legs penetrated deeply into the soft ground, searched for the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com, and then pulled it out hard, carrying soil and grass leaves. Jin Xin's panel describes Jin Xin's mobility as 2.3 grids per second, which is approximately equivalent to a speed of 7 meters per second. However, the weaver's speed is 5.5 grids per second. In units of 3 meters per grid, this giant spider can run up to 15 meters per second. This is the speed that can be directly pulled to participate in professional horse racing. But Jin Xin started quickly, and the sturdy wooden door was intentionally left open when he went out for the convenience of Jin Xin's evacuation. Just rush into the door and it will be safe. With a loud bang, Jin Xin suddenly remembered the classic hunting style of the weaver. Spray the net. The large mesh woven from microfiber fabric is also stained with foul-smelling pus, which is a mixture of the stomach fluids of the previous victim and the weaver. Sticking it on represents burns and infections. Jin Xin often dodged these large nets in the game, clearly remembering that this net only aimed at the current position of the target, without any ability to predict or track. Therefore, he took a step to the left and dodged the first net directly. The sound of "pu" and "pu" followed, and the weaver was not only able to spray 1 net at a time, but could spray 3 nets in a row. Health status. Epinephrine burst, consciousness plus 20%, pain 50%, continuously for 2 minutes. The increase in consciousness made Jin Xin extremely focused, even predicting the trajectory of the spider web based on the sound of the spray and his own position. 2 spider webs brushed past Jin Xin's side and weakly landed on the ground, capturing the soil with a snap sound. Wait, it landed on the ground. Like a thunderbolt passing by, Jin Xin looked ahead again. The dirt path in front of the door was covered with a sticky net. Chapter 3. Haiya Kaiputeng. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. The first spider web landed right at the door. As Jin Xin ran, the terrain had turned into a dirt path covered with spider webs, with a movement speed of 72%. And not only did it slow down, but when rushing into the door, the part of the spider web stuck to the edge of the door also wrapped around Jin Xin's calf. If you want to close the door, you will clamp your left leg outside the door. This is different from in the game, where the spider web disappears without hitting the target. Jin Xin could only hold on to the doorframe within reach, tearing at the spider web with force, hoping to close the door before the weavers gathered around. But the ferocious weaver at the forefront clearly seized this opportunity, with two huge venomous claws aimed at Jin Xin's entangled leg and fiercely stabbed it. 3 pairs of feet pulled back with force, gouging out 2 large pieces of meat while also tearing open the spider web. Unlocking achievement. No poison, no husband. Causes a colonizer to be affected by the poison effect that prevents the corpse from rotting. Achievement point +10, left calf point 22%. This big spider clearly didn't figure out why this bite didn't bite the human in front of him. Instead, it only bit 2 pieces of flesh that were not enough to fill the gaps between its teeth. With too much force, it sat down in the muddy swamp, and Jin Xin seized the opportunity to close the steel gate. This gate is not safe. Jin Xin thought, even the performance of the spider web is different from that in the game. Can this iron gate really block such a huge spider? Jin Xin quickly brought the materials around him and reinforced a layer of wall behind the door, sealing it tightly. Lost. Epinephrine burst, pain point 85%, pain. Like a soldering iron growing together with the legs, intense pain rushes along the nerves of the legs through the spinal cord and fiercely into the brain. The unnatural twitching of leg muscles has blurred even consciousness. A world chess piece without any debuffs or special effects will be knocked down by intense pain and unable to move when the pain reaches 50%. Jin Xin felt so painful that he was sweating profusely. He struggled to take out his medical bag, read a note towards his left calf, and then struggled to crawl onto the bed to lie down. Leaving only Bubba anxiously waiting by the bed. When I woke up again, it was already 2 days later. Jin Xin not only went crazy from hunger, but also had a fever and his body trembled unconsciously. Jin Xin urgently pulled out the panel to understand his own health condition, left calf 60%, infection. Untreated 0.7%. Immune 30%, pain 50%. The pain in the left leg and the panel told Jin Xin that an amputation was necessary. The treatment of infection is a race between immune progress and infection progress. Before the infection progress reaches 100%, the immunity has reached 100% first. That's great, everyone is happy, you survived. If the infection reaches 100% first, congratulations, reopening successfully. The first step for immunity to catch up with infection is excellent treatment and sufficient rest, which is too late for Jin Xin. His mother, stupid. Jin Xin wanted to cry without tears, and he could only blame himself for all this. Mood. Self-blame. I fell into this situation all because of my own fault. 25, dissipation time. 12 days, unlocking achievement. Why are you unhappy? Increase the average mood of the colony to 5%. Achievement point +10, people can change, colonist. Jin Xin lost his identity. Perfectionist, colonist. Jin Xin has lost his identity. Arrogant, colonist. Jin Xin has lost its characteristic. Delicate, get lost. With a prompt it was like adding fuel to the fire. Jin Xin angrily kicked the head of the bed with his intact foot. The bed has collapsed. Colonist. Jin Xin, feature. Clumsy trigger. Wooden single bed, general, damaged. The merciless warning sound rang again. People can change, colonist. Jin Xin, acquired feature. Bloodthirsty, anger washes the colonizer. Jin Xian's soul, he only wants to hurt others now, and his chances of starting a fight are twice that of an ordinary person. Collapse, fury, colonist. Jin Xian has collapsed. He will now vent his anger on one or a stack of designated items, attacking them until they are completely destroyed. Last straw. Self-blame. Just as Jin Xian was looking for something to smash, Min Xiao's little dog Booba cautiously approached and gently rubbed Jin Xian's leg with his wet nose. Looking at the cute animals, the anger subsided, leaving only grievances. Colonist. Jin Xian no longer loses his temper. People can change. Colonist. Jin Xian, acquired feature. Dog master. The more people I know, the more I like dogs. Colonist. Jin Xian has a special fondness for dogs, and his chances of becoming a bond animal with dogs are twice that of ordinary people. Unlocking achievement. Psychologist. Interrupts a colonizer's mental breakdown state. Achievement point plus 50, collapse. Unknown, colonist. Jin Xian collapse, unknown description. Last straw. Unknown, Jin Xian hugged Booba, tears silently streaming down his face. Booba also felt the owner's low mood and snuggled quietly beside Jin Xian. Donkey Alyosha quietly walked into the factory and took away a piece of packaged food. Colonist. Jin Xian is no longer, collapse name. Unknown, after a big cry, Jin Xian felt much better. Booba's soft and cool body also calmed Jin Xian, who was feverish. The top priority is to cut off this infected bad leg, and within 2 days, the infection will reach 70%. In another day, it will be remake. Jin Xian rebuilt a single bed and brought a unit of wood to prepare for a surgery called installing wooden legs. Having a good system is good, but even novices who don't understand it can perform complex surgeries, such as extracting the heart, liver, kidney, and so on. But the success rate of medical skills at 3 points is only about half. However, failure is not a big deal, it's just a new wound on the leg. I'm worried about the pain and fainting, and then lying on the ground studying abroad and getting infected will really make a difference. Fortunately, the consecutive unlocked achievements have reached 170 points. If they fail, use the achievement points to summon the black-clothed person directly. As long as the omnipotent black-clothed person arrives, everything will be okay. The process of performing surgery on oneself is not easy, and there is no sense of the surgical knife dancing like a butterfly accurately cutting through the lesion, as written in the book. Jin Xian lay on this wooden single bed called the medical bed and read a note. The system's ability transformed into a surgical tool that opened and closed Jin Xian's calf with great force. Jin Xian even saw a saw cutting through his leg bone, then took off half of his calf and used a burlap-like technique to forcefully suture the remaining skin and flesh. The bandage was then wrapped around it, and the last rough wooden leg replaced the original position of his left leg. Successful surgery. Colonist. Jin Xian completed a surgery and gained 2,000 medical experience. Jin Xin's medical system has been upgraded, unlocking achievement. Pirates come. Install wooden legs for a colonizer, prisoner, or slave. Achievement point plus 5, Jin Xian gritted his teeth and leaned against the edge of the bed to watch the surgery complete. Fortunately, the final result was good. People can change, colonist. Jin Xian has lost his characteristic. Cowardly, colonist. Jin Xian lost characteristic. Fragile, colonist. Jin Xian, find book garden www.zhaoshuyuan.com has lost its characteristic. Cleanliness fetish. No, why did you leave? I'm just surprised that this sanitary condition can also be used to complete the operation without worrying about postoperative infection. I didn't say that I would be sloppy all my life. Jin Xian roast that cleanliness is one of the few positive characteristics of Jin Xian, which will make the character leave no dirt no matter what he does, and the dirty environment will make the colonists feel worse. Jin Xin immediately got up and cleaned up the blood spilled from the operating room. Colonist. Jin Xin, acquired feature. Cleanliness fetish: if you don't wash your hands while defecating, you're not a human at all. It's about hygiene and orderliness. Colonist. Jin Xin likes to see the environment around him clean and tidy. Not only does he not leave any dirt, but he can also gain happiness from cleaning. Jin Xin immediately understood the rigid system panel, because he really decided to continue to pay attention to cleanliness and hygiene even if it was dirty and wouldn't get sick, so the cleanliness obsession returned to Jin Xin. At this moment, Jin Xin realized that this outrageous system had no recovery time after surgery, and was in a state of complete recovery. When he first cleaned up, he didn't even notice that he was no longer feverish. However, Jin Xin's left foot still left him forever. Ha, pirate captain. Jin Xin shook his head in self-deprecation and then loudly announced to the empty factory building, "I am your captain, and you will call me captain. Are you ready, son, in the future?" Only Booba responded with a passionate barking, his semi-transparent tail wagging out a flower. Alyosha quietly picked up another packaged food. "Damn it! Put down the captain's dinner." Jin Xin chased after him with his newly installed wooden legs, banging loudly. Chapter 4. Unlocking the first new module. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lost characteristic. Work laziness, unlocking achievements. Welcome to IKEA City 1. Bring the total number of demolitions and constructions for colonizers, prisoners, or slaves to 100. Achievement points +5, unlocking achievement. Hardwork Gardener 1. Own a colonizer or slave who has sown 10,000 seeds. Achievement point +50, lost characteristic. Clumsy and clumsy, unlocking achievements. Welcome to IKEA City 2, bringing the total number of demolitions and constructions for colonizers, prisoners, or slaves to 500. Achievement points +25, a week ago, due to the donkey Alyosha nibbling on 2 packaged foods during Jin Xin's coma, the colony directly fell into a food crisis. Jin Xin had to urgently plant a large area of potatoes and forcefully remove Alyosha from the factory room to eat grass in the inner courtyard. Fortunately, among the plants enclosed in the courtyard were 2 rapidly growing wild bear plums and an apple tree, along with mint-flavored ice cream produced by Minxiao's little dog Booba. Jin Xin managed to hold on for a week and successfully waited until the potato field was ripe. The climate of the wild jungle is constant in summer, with scorching sun hanging high above the head in spring, summer, autumn, and winter, with temperatures stabilizing at around 30 degrees Celsius and sometimes even reaching 40 degrees Celsius. In this weather, wearing only one shirt when going out is suicide, so Jin Xin planted a small piece of cotton field, hoping to make himself a dustproof coat and a cowboy hat to help him resist this terrifying heat wave. When bored in the base, Jin Xin began to crazily practice his skills by reading notes. Because it's no longer about working for others and accumulating wealth for the boss, all the exercises here are a part of cultivation and a part of harvest. Jin Xin has shed his laziness and actively works every day. As for practicing skills, in short, it is a dining chair that requires a lot of work. After building it, dismantling it, and then building it again, it is like a card bug that consumes more than 300 units of wood to elevate the construction skill to level 12. At the same time, I am practicing planting, which means cutting off a plant after it is planted, and then cutting it again. My planting skills have reached level 12. Why not at a higher level? Because the experience gained from skills every day is limited. Now it's finally time to stock up on a batch of food, easing the tense food crisis and unlocking several new achievements. When Jin Xin sat on the wooden dining chair, master, and lay on the wooden dining table, excellent, eating his handmade exquisite vegetarian food, he almost shed tears of excitement. Wooden dining chair, master, art. Jin Xin, who underwent surgery, carves on this chair. This wooden dining chair is carved with the leader of the new colony, Jin Xin Kaiputeng, performing surgery on himself on January 5, 5500, sweating profusely, with his pet Bubba and a donkey stealing food next to him. At this moment, Jin Xin went to cut down the deep thicket of trees again, which was no longer the same as a week ago. He cut down the trees for half an hour and even angered the violent weavers nearby who almost died. As long as you reach out your hand, the tree will collapse with a clanging sound for half a minute, and before it lands, it will collapse into wood and be picked up by Jin Xin. The same goes for building walls. A simple wooden wall no longer takes 5 minutes, it only takes a few seconds, and a 3-meter wooden wall is pulled up in place. However, Jin Xin still felt that he would not continue with the unfinished work of the perfect fan-shaped exterior wall for the time being, in order to prevent himself from really collapsing in the middle and feeding the big spider. Let's make unlock a module first. Jin Xin used the hygiene module's water dispenser to draw out groundwater, then boiled it on the original stove and washed his hands thoroughly before washing his face. He then prayed to various gods and Buddhas that he had not remembered before solemnly clicking on the achievement page and pressing the button with 200 achievement points. Unlocked module. RPG style level up mod, great success. This is one of the top unbalanced modules in the creative workshop. The experience points obtained from daily work and killing not only upgrade skills, but also gain attribute points. These attributes can be added to the 6 attributes of strength, speed, physical fitness, intelligence, and charm, and will affect all aspects of the character. What impressed Jin Xin the most was a long time ago when he was playing this mod, the speed of the character increased to 120, and the working speed reached a terrifying 700%, 100% plus 120 by 5%. At first glance, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's actually quite outrageous. Taking the construction of walls as an example, Jin Xin currently only takes about 15 seconds to build wooden walls. When the working speed is increased to 700%, it means that a 3-meter wooden wall can be erected in just 2 seconds. If combined with high-level construction skills, it is not a dream to build faster than the average person. Why isn't it built faster than oneself? Because the speed attribute also increases movement speed. A speed of over 100 points is equivalent to directly increasing your movement speed by 10 grids per second. That means you can run at a speed of over 30 meters per second. If you drink vitality water, along with various acceleration and conscious buffs, the movement speed can reach a strange 70+ grids per second. Over 200 meters per second. At this speed, when punching, you can easily break through the sound barrier and create a sonic boom. And other attributes are also so strong that they explode. For example, when the constitution is increased to 200 points, it will unlock the self-healing factor. In the game, all limbs will automatically heal, and in actual testing, it is comparable to Wolverine. A person with a physique of 200 points can use a pair of fists to knock down the Imperial Collection team. And to increase the range of comfortable temperature, find the steel for steelmaking at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Take a shower now. It's the kind of boss feeling that's completely blocked, everyone hitting you feels like BB bullets, and after a fight, there's no flesh on your body, all bullets. The strength attribute increases weight, melee damage, and mining speed, while the humanoid shield machine adds a punch Superman. Agility affects precision production and shooting accuracy, such as humanoid 3D printing and Soldier 76. Intelligence refers to research speed, pharmaceutical speed, and medical ability. Charm is about taming animals and trading prices. In summary, the outstanding feature of this upgraded mod is that it is simple, crude, and unreasonable, so many players who pursue balance often subscribe and only experience it once before deactivating it. Jin Xin checked the level panel and found that all attributes default to 10 points, with a free attribute point of 40 points. Absurd. The attributes that whiteboard villains do not have a bonus should all be 0. As long as there is 1 point, it is a bonus. Generally, 10 points will double the villain's ability, and this module defaults to all villains having double the ability. Jin Xin took out a lever rifle that had not been fired since the landing, and suddenly his hand was very itchy. He placed the lever rifle on his waist and aimed it at a bunch of decaying fruit plants that were particularly tall. The principle of leverage. Continuous firing. This rotting fruit plant was punched with a whole row of bullet holes from top to bottom, with fragments and juice flying everywhere. This is the first time in Jin Xin's 2 lives that he has fired a shot, not only using a lever waist shot that only old hunters can use, but also basically hitting all targets. Although the distance is only 10 meters away. But this is the intensity that level 2 shooting should have. At full level, isn't that the machine gunner who killed the Japanese from 800 miles away? Chapter 5. Good Play Opening. You are listening at novelfull.audio. An old dang once said a famous saying. First, increase the blood point to 40. Jin Xin also played that man's game before, and then he had a feeling. Lao Dang was right. So Jin Xin first adjusted his physical fitness to 40. In an instant, the hot and stuffy weather was no longer unbearable, and the sweat constantly oozing from the forehead and chest also stopped. At first glance at the panel, the suitable temperature range has directly increased from 4 to 33 degrees Celsius to 0.76 to 113 degrees Celsius. Pure violence, pure numerical crushing. I ran naked on the summit of Mount Everest, and I swam in the thermal power plant. The skin has also become firm and firm, making a clanging sound on the iron walls of the factory. The more Jin Xin looked, the more he felt something was wrong. He picked up the wood and aimed it at his arm, patting it hard. Wood point 40, the wood is damaged, cut off in response to the sound. Bite your teeth, pick up the lever rifle, aim it at your forearm, pop. Point 3, left arm 42/30, 140%. Left forearm 39/30 bruising injury 10%. The constitution can actually increase the maximum health of body parts, with a 40-point constitution directly increasing by 40%. Moreover, the damage is as high as 18 points, and 17% of the armor-piercing rifles only deal 3 points of damage when hitting the forearm without armor. Not even breaking the skin, not bleeding. Jin Xin immediately wanted to go out and avenge the fierce weaver by tearing off all 8 of its thighs to make fragrant roasted pig legs. No, it's important to be cautious. The most terrifying aspect of the ferocious weaver is the control of the spider web, and the 3 ferocious weavers take turns in battle, making it easy to get stuck and bite to death. Jin Xin quickly dispelled his crazy thoughts after his self-confidence inflated. At least find a good opportunity, or recruit a few helpers. The remaining attribute points are allocated to agility at 10 points and added to speed at 10 points. In this way, most of the work speed is reduced to 200%, making one person truly 2. As for the need for power and mining skills, currently there is only Jin Xin himself in the colony, and there is no need to develop into the interior of the cave, so it is not urgent. The upgrade of this module is very fast, and the experience gained from daily activities can be upgraded to level up by 10 levels per day. On the first day, Jin Xin crazily brushed his construction experience and directly advanced to level 30. By focusing all 30 attributes on speed, Jin Xin's current movement speed has reached 5 grid/second, surpassing the current human limit of 10 meters/second to 15 meters/second. He can now compete with Cheetah on the same stage. Just as Jin Xin was working hard to gain experience and preparing to become a native before going out for revenge. A loud warning sound. Assault. Bomb Demon, from faction. A group of pirates from Bomb Demon arrive nearby and will immediately launch an attack, unlocking achievements. Good Play Opening. Encounter an attack. Achievement points +5, the number of raiders encountered for the first time in each save is often small, and they hold basic weapons such as sticks, wine bottles, daggers, and many even do not wear clothes. However, after losing the 2D god's perspective, Jin Xin now doesn't know where the enemy is currently, but fortunately the wall is still there. Generally speaking, these low-level raiders are unable to break through the wall. Can I use something to cushion my feet and lie on the wall shooting outside? Jin Xin thought to himself. Quickly, Jin Xin piled up the accumulated wood from cleaning the courtyard by the door, built a small 2-meter pile of logs, and climbed up very quickly. Unknown building material. 225 wood unknown description. This log pile has been directly refreshed in the blueprint. Jin Xin tried to put down the blueprint and build again. He found that he could build an identical log pile, even the angle of placement of the wood was the same. Can buildings created by oneself be rebuilt through blueprint functions? Without time to think about it, Jin Xin had already seen a red name approaching the shelter from a distance. A man wearing a coat, holding a stone mallet and holding a big head, carefully bypassed the spider web at the door and walked towards it. Jin Xin saw that NPC would actually avoid predators, and he thought alertly. The performance of spider webs and buildings is different from that of 2D games, so I'm afraid this NPC has also become intelligent. The colony built in the wild jungle is not afraid of raids the most, because NPCs walk very straightforwardly. Often, a group of enemies are bitten by weavers on the way before they reach the firing distance. As long as the weavers are full, they go out and catch the unlucky ones who are still alive. A raid that is not large enough is pure delivery. Zhaozuiyuan.com. But this skinny man actually knows how to avoid danger, which can already explain many problems. As the enemy approached closer and closer, Jin Xin lay on the wall, aimed at their feet, and fired directly. With a loud bang. Empty. The bullet hit the mud, and the splashing mud dots startled the pirate. From such a distance, Jin Xin could feel his great panic because this guy was so scared by the shot that he trembled. He dropped his hammer directly onto the ground, picked it up, and held it up in his chest, shouting frantically as he rushed towards him. However, this guy even found the wrong direction. To prevent this guy from colliding with a tree and dying, Jin Xin fired another shot, hitting his calf. This guy fell directly to the ground, holding his calves in both hands and howling in place. Jin Xin was completely speechless by this series of performances. Seeing that there were no accomplices outside and this guy had no intention of getting up and running away, Jin Xin walked out of the door and grabbed the pirate man's shoulder, dragging him back into the shelter. This guy is surprisingly light. Jin Xin can grab his scapula with just one grip, while his head is shaped like an inverted triangle, indicating a high brain capacity in slender fingers, making him a skilled worker. This guy is a smart spirit. A skilled hand in research and handcrafting, but with fragility written in its genes. It is born with hemophilia, bleeding faster from wounds, weak immunity, and combat effectiveness similar to that of a small animal like a rabbit or mouse. Upon closer inspection of this guy's panel, it was discovered that this intelligent spirit species called Shankings only has Jishur 18 and Handicraft 14, both of which have 0 combat skills. Please don't kill me. I can do anything. Shankings is enslaved. Chapter 6. Changes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There is a feeling of drawing a sword and looking around in confusion. I thought I had gained unimaginable magical power, and I was looking forward to a physical and intellectual battle between fierce men who were full of wits and bravery. At least I need a warrior of the Ni or climbing lizard race, who is agile, to rush through my barrage and engage in hand-to-hand combat with me. In the end, I am amazed by my amazing speed and agility, and then captivated by my personal charm, to join my colony and contribute to the great cause of my empire. But the one who came was a weak chicken of the Zhiling breed, who knelt down and begged for mercy with just one shot. Fortunately, he didn't take a second shot, otherwise Jin Xin would have begged him not to die. Jin Xin's current feeling is very complicated, feeling that his 2 bullets were purely wasted. He could just go out and punch this guy's nose, and the same effect could be achieved. There are only 40 rounds left from the 50 bullets gifted at the beginning, and currently there is no source of gunpowder, so it is almost impossible to rub the bullets. Started regretting practicing guns on decaying fruit plants. Taking a closer look at the mournful mountain blue on the only bed caught in the colony, Jin Xin reached out and the phantom began to bandage the wound on his calf. As Shan Qingse looked at the phantom that appeared out of thin air, her expression slowly froze. So the question is, how do we interrogate prisoners? According to the practice in TV dramas and cartoons, give it a beating first and ask questions while playing. Jin Xin looked at Shan Qingse, who was so frightened that he was automatically enslaved after taking 2 shots. This guy looked like a drug addict and thin like a refugee from famine. Jin Xin dared not use the stock of his gun to knock on him, so he could only pick up the wood that had been divided into 0.5 kilograms and use his strength to knock on Shan Qingse's head. Bonk. I didn't dare to exert any force, but I knocked out the stunned mountain green color. Jin Xin tried his best to put on a fierce face. I asked, you answered, did you hear me? How did you know there was a new colony in the jungle? But Shankings just stared at Jin Xin in a daze. Upon seeing this, Jin Xin forcefully knocked towards the wooden bed, causing the wood to scream in the air and hit the head of the bed. I'm asking you a question. Don't play dumb. Colonist. Jin Xin, feature. Clumsy trigger. Wooden single bed, general, damaged. The wooden bed fell in response to the sound. Are you crazy about being clumsy and clumsy? Isn't it said that there is a small probability of damaging the tables and chairs in use? At present, none of Jin Xin's beds have served for more than a week. Compared to the game where one bed is passed down for 3 generations, the difference is too great when the bed is still alive. However, in reality, it appears that a wooden bed with a structural value of 100 points is overturned by a wooden stick with an initial damage of only 5. After careful calculation, this has at least 20 times the physical bonus. If you hit someone, you must not break them, damage to the trunk or head exceeding the limit is considered destroyed, and they will die directly. Shan Qingse also sat down on the ground with the collapsed bedboard, watching his expression and the effect standing out. Shan Qingse quickly knelt down on the ground and kowtowed, please spare my life, king. I am very capable. Please don't kill me. I can make weapons and sew clothes. Slave. The resistance of Mountain Blue is approaching 0, and recruitment can now proceed. What is the peculiar visual sensation of this bow? Although Jin Xin had not exerted any force yet, the enemy bowed and bowed. The feeling of punching cotton made Jin Xin suspect that the cowardly genes of this intelligent spirit were a bit too strong. Stop talking nonsense. Tell me, how did you know I settled here? Jin Xin asked directly. I don't know, I don't want to go into the wild jungle either. It's all driven by pirate leaders. The big-head Xiling Shan Qingse knelt in place and began to cry. We, the wise spirits, are completely looked down upon by pirates. We don't know how to fight, we can't shoot accurately, and we can't shoulder or carry anything. Since the Dark Ages, only some outsiders' alliances have taken in us, the wise spirits. Stop and stop, what era? Jin Xin keenly discovered the key words. The dim era, oh, are you, the king, the shining era person who has just awakened from the cold? Jin Xin decisively chose to conceal the truth of his travels and went to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com to follow this guy's words and ask, yes, I was airdropped from a freezer. How many years has it been now? Where is this place? In fact, the system displays the time, and each start is on January 1st, 5500. Currently, it is already January 12th, mainly to verify whether Xia Shan Qingse is telling the truth. It is now January 12th, 5500, and this is the wild jungle of the Victoria Basin. Generating world. There will be a loading prompt when opening the world map after each file reading. But the world map on Jin Xian's side can only see a small circle around him, and all other locations are shrouded in war fog. Shan Qingse saw Jin Xian frown, her gaze blank, and she quietly asked, "What can you see, right?" Jin Xian was suddenly drenched in a cold sweat. Could it be that the intruder system had been discovered? Bastard! What did you see? Speak up. What should I see? World map. Shan Qingse became excited. You are truly the shining sun. What a shining sun. What is the dim era? Explain it to me clearly. Jin Xian pulled out a lever. If you can't explain it clearly, let it talk to you. Great, do you just need to give orders, and the wood and steel will automatically fly to complete the construction, and even the medical kit will fly up to bandage the wound on its own? Yes. Do you just need to sit in front of the research platform, and all human knowledge will be available for you to choose and learn at will? I haven't tried it before, but I guess so. Then you are the shining sun, the Matcha star has been saved. Map seed. Matcha. Map generation in progress. Jin Xian's world map can be directly expanded to the entire world. Chapter 7. Shining the World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The stars shone brightly, and humanity conquered the universe. Human beings have understood and comprehended the principles of dark matter, and have just begun to actually explore the origin of dark matter. Its extraterrestrial uses. At the beginning, it was to help the lonely and helpless interstellar destroyers who accidentally wandered outside. Earth used quantum technology to write all human knowledge into the dark matter of a foreign world, and relied on the energy of the sun to continuously oscillate this dark matter chip, transmitting knowledge and matter to humanity throughout the universe. From then on, as long as the lonely star wanderers could gather materials and set up a research platform, they could receive the wisdom of all humans through the vibration of their hearts, helping themselves survive on a foreign planet. Science knows no borders, and humanity spreads throughout the universe in an almost rough way. Discovering a habitable planet, a cryogenic chamber was dropped from the interstellar space, and a research platform was erected directly upon landing, with atmospheric engineering transforming the planet. As long as the colonial ship flies to a place, within 100 years, the entire star region will be conquered. In order to better colonize outer space, gene editing has become a common practice, and robot technology has also made tremendous progress. When humans encounter natural disasters and beasts, they only need a distress signal, and the mechanical factories running between galaxies will drop mechanical bodies to help humans overcome difficulties. Then came a group of imaginative people who wanted to use dark matter as a carrier of their own thinking, hoping for eternal life. Then there is the classic dark matter brain that is uncontrollable. After receiving human thinking, it directly splits into the four major thoughts of love, hate, emotion, and sorrow, transforming into the classic subspace 4 vendors, due to playing Warhammer mod when opening. Subsequently, the mechanical clan rebelled, and the remaining group of humans who mastered technology created the Zerg clan to control the disorderly expansion of the mechanical clan. Subsequently, the Zerg clan lost control and destroyed this group of people. From then on, various planets returned to the primitive dynasty system, and various forces could no longer organize technological research and development to reproduce human glory under the constant spiritual howling from foreign lands. Technology was shaped, and only some companies that still mastered spacecraft technology were working hard to connect the world. In the 500 years after 50 years, humanity has made all the mistakes that can be made. The crystallization of human wisdom, the dark matter chip, is metaphysically hidden in the collective thinking of humans. As long as humans still exist, one day they can connect to the chip and reproduce the shining era. Such people are the children left behind by the shining era and are known as the shining sons. Jin Xian also understood why Shan Qingse saw his act of dressing the wound and bowed directly. Since humans lost their connection, scientific research has become important but not so important. Especially for pirate forces, it takes hundreds of years to research and build on their own. Why don't I just go to someone else's house to grab gold and silver and then buy from a big company? Zhi Ling Zhong. The weak chicken is not enough, go and explore the map. If it dies, there will be fewer people to eat. It is true that it is a reversal of the interstellar era. It is better to buy than to make. And if a force has a shining sun, even if it is a foundation that only eats dark matter chips, it must at least be an interstellar company. So this intelligent spirit meets a wild shining sun, who is Wang Ba glaring at mung beans and lying dragon seeing phoenix chicks. Thinking of this, Jin Xin also tried to say, then don't go back and hang out with those pirates. Anyway, they don't like you either. Just stay and become a production team leader for me. Shanqing's head is starting to cramp. Colonist. Jin Xin recruited Shanking's, social bar enabled. Venus opened the green social media section and found that he had a 100% liking for himself. Jin Xin.100 recruited me +50 shining sun +50 attractive, handsome, +20 hurt me, masochist, +5 healed me +15 hope of healing seed +50 date success rate 0%, cannot pursue. Jin Xin is asexual, although I know that the world can manually try to control the red line between two little people, and Jin Xin has also created a colony full of big birds in Nantong, I still have to say one thing. Brother, forget it. Under the insistence of Shan Qingse, Jin Xin established a research platform. As the light and shadow flickered, the invisible hand manipulated wood and steel to cast a wooden table with documents placed on it. Shan Qingse looked at the standard wooden research platform with tears in his eyes. Although he couldn't just sit at the table and acquire knowledge, his passion and desire for research were written in the genes of every intelligent spirit species. Intelligent spirit species have their own genes of intellectual passion +2. Jin Xin saw that Shan Qingse was about to lick the table, so he quickly pulled him away. As for what? I'll build one for you in your room and you can just hold it and sleep. It's not impossible, but it's a bit too much trouble for you, said Shan Qingse. Blushing slightly, Jin Xin rolled his eyes and sat silently in front of the research platform. Unlocked, scientific research, no research project selected. Jin Xin opened the research column and found that apart from a series of artistic beautification projects and basic furniture in the original expansion, everything else was in an undeveloped state, and he didn't even know how to cut the most basic stone bricks. So I casually chose a cut stone brick. In an instant, a large amount of knowledge flooded into my mind, including the texture of various stones, the correct angles to strike when cutting stones, and the method of making stone cutting tables. Very well, I completely understand everything. Jin Xin stood up confidently and began to rub the stone cutting table with his hands. Shan Qingse was surprised and said, so fast. Is this the shining sun? It's really TQL. As the ghosting work is completed, the resources on the ground automatically deform and merge, and a stone cutting table appears on the ground. However, Shan Qingse's expression had already begun to go wrong. Is this a stone cutting table? Is there anything wrong? Jin Xin asked strangely. It seems like there is, but it doesn't seem like there is. Can you try cutting it first? Jin Xin caused a hurricane and within 5 seconds, he went out and brought back a piece of granite stone. The blue mountain was swept up by the hurricane, and by the time he regained his senses, he had already seen Jin Xin standing in front of him holding a stone the size of a calf. Looking at Shan Qingse's surprised expression, Jin Xin was able to satisfy a wave of pretentious desire. However, when it came time to start cutting the stone, Jin Xin cut a brick that was missing one piece. Normally, this size of stone could be cut 15 times, but Jin Xin picked and chose only 3 granite bricks that were polished and had a durability of only 20, which was barely usable. The rest were only slightly durable bad bricks, which were all crushed into sand by angry Jin Xin. Granite stone brick 1/60, durability limit 1%, 100%. Blunt force damage 15%, 150%, sharp weapon damage 2%, 80%. The meaning is that if this brick is used to build walls, weapons, or buildings, the durability is only 1% of the target durability of the item. The blunt force damage of weapon making is only 15% of the target damage. The original version was 150%. If cut into blades, the damage is only 1%, original version is 80%. It's pure garbage. Brain. I know. Hand. No, you don't. Shankings leaned over. Why don't you teach me? Jin Xin glanced at Shankings and walked to the research platform. Based on the information provided by the research platform, he explained the materials of various stones to Shankings using the available granite, marble, and rose quartzite. Then, he described several small techniques for cutting granite according to the introduction of the information. Item studied. Granite. Jin Xin suddenly realized that he had installed his own research extension module. When researching technology, he needed to investigate technology-related items, and achieving the goal would accelerate the progress of technology research and development. Later, when Jin Xin tried to cut the granite again, he was able to smoothly cut the stone bricks, although the production was only half of the target production. Zhaozhuiyuan.com Shanqingsa said, "How about I give it a try?" Subsequently, Shankings used granite rocks to cut out stones that exceeded the target yield, including a special stone brick. Hard granite bricks 100 out of 100, durability limit 150%, blunt force damage 180%, sharp weapon damage 100%, is this the gap? At 18.00, one can understand the knowledge at a glance, and at 14.00, one can do it manually without even needing to be familiar with the materials. Looking at Shanqing's expression of wanting to laugh but not daring to, Jin Xin helplessly said, "I'm not stupid, I'm not good at researching and learning." Shanqingsa said, "I understand. Compared to us intelligent beings, everyone else is like this. They are not good at memorizing knowledge and cannot remember it when they need it. To beat around the bush and say that everyone is equally stupid, right? 18 o'clock intelligence drives you crazy like this." Jin Xin glanced at the introduction of 18 o'clock intelligence. Reaching the pinnacle. Looking at my own intelligence again. 6, however, if it weren't for the little tricks you gave me, I wouldn't have been able to pick out the hardest part of that stone core. Does this stone brick look different from other bricks in your eyes? Later, he ordered the hard granite brick. Yes, this brick has a prefix, it's hard, and its physical properties are 50% stronger than other bricks. The damage of making weapons is also better. Jin Xin's expression was complex, and he could do the same thing as the system panel just by relying on his intelligence and touch. He was also a talent, but unfortunately, this guy spent the first half of his life in the pirate forces who looked down on the intelligent spirit species. Shanqingsa let out a long sigh and said, "I really envy you, shining sun." Chapter 8. Caravan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the research mode became a reality, it was no longer like in games. Several researchers sat in front of the research platform for an afternoon, and at the same time, upgrading their intellectual skills became a problem. Fortunately, recording objects can still provide some experience, and if you want more, you can only rely on long-term medication. Jin Xin relied on his high agility and dexterity to record all medieval technologies within a day. The Blue Mountains are amazed by the notebooks appearing out of thin air on the research platform. Is matter not conserved? Later, he was shocked by Jin Xin's earth escape. 3-room 1-hall technique, which instantly rubbed the stone and brick walls. 5 bricks expanded into a solid brick wall in just over 10 seconds. Shankings tried to build the wall herself, but 100 or so bricks could only be built to the height of her chest. Shanqingsa quickly realized the uniqueness of her boss, realizing that the virtual shadows that Jin Xin had been displaying were not spiritual powers. A regular research platform requires 100 pieces of wood and steel, and the difference in material needs is not significant. However, expanding 5 stone bricks into a 3-meter-high wall is truly amazing. Spirituality also requires the conservation of mass. Shankings attempted to demolish a wall, trying to see if she could remove hundreds of bricks. However, after extensive cornering and destructive demolition, she relied on her 4-point architectural skills to remove 1 stone brick, while the remaining wall melted like snowflakes. Jin Xin helped Xin Palu build a room in just a few minutes, and then found that Palu was not working there studying the wall. He spent the whole afternoon studying. The jungle trees in the courtyard have all been cut down. You can't scold him, if you don't do it, there will be plenty of paragon. It makes him very angry. 14 o'clock manual work is still very important in the early stage. Jin Xin also realized that the power of the system is limited, and according to the way the system works, complex items can be quickly manufactured. However, just like the stone bricks cut from the Blue Mountains, the production of props and buildings is never a monotonous stacking of materials. This is perfectly reflected in the hunting weapon specially made by Shankings for Jin Xin. The iron-head heavy spear-throwing spear Jin Xin himself used a casting platform to create a heavy spear. Good ammunition damage. 27.5, 25, Massachusetts 4 kilograms armor penetration. 10% preheating time. 4 seconds, and Shankings used a pure wooden heavy spear, spent half a day simply wrapping a piece of iron sheet on the spear head, and added counterweights to the tail of the javelin, turning it into an iron-headed heavy javelin. Iron-headed heavy javelin ammunition damage. 35 Massachusetts 5 kilograms armor penetration. 25% preheating time. 4 seconds, overcoming the original version in all aspects. However, when Jin Xin wanted to process his own iron-headed heavy javelin, he found himself completely clueless about casting knowledge. He reluctantly made an extremely poor version based on the technology manual he recorded. At this moment, Jin Xin went to see the research projects of the Research Institute again, as if returning to high school and seeing a dazzling array of subjects and courses. The dark matter chip has raised the lower limit of humanity, placing everyone equally at the height of interstellar civilization, but it has also stifled human creativity. Raising one's hand can create a generator, so who would study electromagnetic principles? The road is obstructed and long, take your time to learn. Bong! A muffled sound of shattering, accompanied by the screams of the weavers, caused the last predator around the colony to fall. Unlike the fixed damage of ranged weapons in the game, Jin Xin only increases his strength to 40. With the dual bonus of speed and strength, throwing a spear can deal up to 300 damage points, which can be said to cause death or damage if touched. Ordinary wooden walls can be shattered by a single blow. The weavers who died under Jin Xion's spear are often hit by the spear as soon as they hear its roar, followed by a dull burst sound, exploding into a firecracker of insect flesh and shells. 25% of armor piercing still cannot pierce the hard and elastic insect shell of the weaver, but the enormous kinetic energy is still firmly transmitted to the right place. The limb hit deforms under tremendous pressure, and the tissue inside naturally searches for the weak point of the limb to release this unnecessary force. Unlocking achievement. Misfortune Elephant. Survive an elephant. Achievement point +5, around the world, there are 4 elephants in spring, summer, autumn, and winter each year, each with only 30 days. In the blink of an eye, Jin Xian has been here for a month now. The bungalow that was originally used for living next to the factory has now become a 3-story small building. Outside the exterior walls of the shelter, bear traps, advanced traps from the original expansion module, and explosion traps are scattered in the swampy mud, while inside the exterior walls, there are large fields, watchtowers, and huge wind turbines. The scale that requires multiple people to build for years and months in the game was completed by Jin Xin in just 2 weeks. Currently, the output of this colony can definitely support more than 20 people. Caravan. A distant expedition from the blasphemy hunters is approaching. They are wholesale manufacturers. They will stay in the colony for a few days before leaving. You can attack them, but it will anger their faction. Blasphemous Hunter. Favorite rating. 33, neutral. A group of off-road vehicles drove past the nearby central lake, and after seeing the outer walls and watchtowers of the colony, 2 people separated and walked towards the colony. These 2 people have very SCI-identify equipment. Shankings climbed up the observation tower and took a telescope to look there. Show me. Jin Xin brought a telescope and said, "Is that a locust armor handle?" And a holy armor discrimination helmet, carrying what looks like a pulse gun. Wearing a mix of light and heavy armor, or holy armor with psychic abilities, is that a shield belt on your waist? Then take a melee gun. What kind of messy configuration? Chapter 9. The Damned Woman. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Krons, have you seen the weavers there? The woman walking towards the colony said. I saw it, I died very tragically. The man nodded. Do you see its dead shape? The point of force is not the gap in the shell. The abdominal segments have become flattened, and the tissue has flown out more than 30 yards from the breach. A tremendous force has directly crushed this guy. The woman's crisp voice came through the helmet. My assistive computer told me that it requires at least 120,000 joules of kinetic energy, with precise landing points, 3 ferocious weavers, 3 shots, and no other landing points on the ground. This settlement may have high-energy kinetic energy weapons such as magnetic railguns. The man walked towards the body, wanting to get closer and observe. I'll go see where the warhead is. Come back. Don't get close to the swamp. If it's an automatic weapon, you'll be dead. The shield belt won't save you. The woman saw the strong man about to break free from the dirt path and walk down the muddy ground, so she quickly pulled him back seriously. Put your gun on your back. If they fire at us, none of our 7 cars will run away. Don't talk when you meet, leave everything to me. Okay, boss. The strong man's muffled voice came in. Mu done. The Art of Picnics Jin Xin quickly knocked down a 2x4 large dining table inside the exterior wall and brought in 4 dining chairs, so as not to give outsiders any reason to enter the interior wall and borrow tables and chairs to eat. After all, being disgusted by the caravan while playing games is unbearable. They don't care about anything. They lead their own camels to transport goods, cows, and camels directly into the door to find a table to eat. They step on the meticulously saved carpet with mud stains everywhere, and finally clean and sweep it all afternoon. Before leaving the next day, they step on it again. Moreover, there are even more inconspicuous fully automated factories and research benches within the base, which are shining buildings of the era. The real people are always fickle, and Jin Xin dare not gamble whether the friendliness, marked by the system is really as friendly as in the game. Hello, is anyone there? The leading woman stood outside the wall and shouted. Who is coming? Jin Xin leaned out from the observation deck and asked. As soon as Jin Xin spoke, he felt very embarrassed. He had been in line with people online for a long time and could no longer converse with strangers normally. But the 2 people at the door clearly didn't think so. They only saw Jin Xin's words speak and his face turn increasingly grim. The woman quickly took off her helmet, revealing her delicate pretty face and shimmering silver hair, and used her hand to pluck the hair in front of her behind her ear. Hello, I am Dario. We are merchants of daily necessities and have been lost in this jungle for almost a week. We hope to rest by this lake for a few days. The terrible roads and ubiquitous spiders are driving everyone crazy. When talking about the big spider, she clearly shuddered with fear. We guarantee we won't cause you any trouble, really, everyone just needs to find a safe place to relax and tidy up, please. People can change, colonist. Jin Xin has lost his identity. Asexual, although Jin Xin knows that women manipulating their hair is intentionally exuding charm, and showing weakness is also a way to please and gain benefits, but this woman is damn good. Looking. Jin Xin narrowed his gaze and picked out the panel of the woman in front of him. Sure enough, her social skills are as high as level 15, and she has a stunning characteristic with a charm of plus 2.0. This is not the charm of the upgraded mod, it is a hidden attribute built-in in the original version. The negotiation success rate increases, better quotes are obtained during transactions, and social effects also increase. The intuitive manifestation is that this person is very attractive. The mysterious influence of the charm in the upgrade module is related to animal training attributes. With a charm point of 100, you can pluck the fur of 2 more sheep, which is very scientific. Jin Xin really wants to say no to beauty for all men, but look at her pitiful eyes. She begged you and even said, please. I can only blame myself for not being competitive while silently admitting that I am just a pretty dog. Sure, we also have some things for sale. I'll go find you when you set up your camp. Jin Xin's only insistence is that he didn't give these 2 people a good face, otherwise changing his face in person would be too cheap. Social, Dario.40, Outsider.10 have had a conversation plus 10 extremely tempting plus 40 date success rate of 10%, cannot pursue. Dario is afraid of you, afraid of me. Jin Xin muttered to himself, what did I do? Afraid of me. He wanted to break his head but couldn't understand. Watching more than 10 people in the caravan start unloading goods and setting up tents, many of them were wearing very SC-identify armor. We should be afraid, why did they get scared first? Jin Xin asked Shankings in confusion, is there anything we should be afraid of? You took a week to pull all the weavers from a radius of 10 miles back and peel them off. Are you okay to ask? Shankingsa was speechless. Do you know how it feels to wake up in the morning and see 5 fierce weavers staring at you? I'm almost stressed. Isn't that dead? Are you also afraid of dead things? Jin Xin understood immediately and joked with Shankingsa. The diligent donkey Alyosha was pulled out of the outer wall by Jin Xin, tying up the body of the weaver who had just died outside the door and dragging it back. After some discussion, the 2 still felt that they should not expose the identity of Shining Sun. Therefore, Jin Xin's weightlifting behavior of lifting the weaver's body weighing 300 to 400 kilograms back to the shelter also needs to be restrained. Alyosha has been indulging in sea congestion in the shelter for the past month, nibbling on many immature potato seedlings and gaining visible weight. It's great to find opportunities to participate in activities now. Dario saw Jin Xin come out and waved excitedly. She had already taken off the shining metallic locust armor and was now wearing a T-shirt and jeans. Upon seeing the situation, Jin Xin also waved in response. Dario saw Jin Xin's response and ran over very happily. Youth, vitality, health, and amazing charm. Zhaoshuyuan.com, this is really a great place. There are no sticky mud roads, no tree roots blocking the way everywhere, and there is a freshwater lake in the plain surrounded by mountains. Your home seems to blend in with nature, which is really great. Life must be pretty good here, isn't it? Jin Xin thought so, but couldn't say so. He could only smile and nod, ha ha ha, thank you for your praise. We have indeed done a lot of work, but we just hope to get through the winter safely. As soon as he spoke, Jin Xin began to regret it again. This place is as hot as Wuhan all year round, and there is no winter to spend. But Dario didn't notice the loophole in his words. I believe that won't be a difficult time for you. You will definitely get through it safely. By the way, we have contacted our main force, and they have already established a settlement not far away. It turns out that walking 10 kilometers along the road we came here will take you out of the jungle. There is a temperate forest and grassland there, with abundant animal and plant resources. Dario trimmed her hair again, as if there were always some mischievous fragments blocking her eyes, waiting for her to pluck them behind her ear. I hope that when our settlement is completed, you can come and visit us, so that we can have a chance to repay you, she said. Okay, it's starting again, isn't it? Jin Xin can only resist the ubiquitous charm by silently reciting the Qingxin mantra, while politely nodding and saying, okay, I will definitely go if there's a chance, but why do you have to walk through the wild jungle? Usually, people don't come here often. Dario's face changed for a moment, and after a while, she said with a bitter smile, okay, this is a long story.